All right, everybody, welcome back to the Street Parking Podcast. This episode is another one of our episodes featuring one of our street parking members who are here with us to do the vault workouts. And this episode, we've got someone I consider to be a pretty OG in street parking, and we've known for a long time, Carrie Cobb, who my first memory with was at summer camp.
Yep.
Actually. And you're one of, I feel like the people that went to summer camp are like on this pedestal because it was so awesome.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to happen more than once.
Yeah.
But then of course, like the pandemic and everything happened. So we haven't been back. But I remember I have this weird, interesting memory of you. And I don't know why it's like so burned in my brain, but we were walking, it was nighttime and you were trying to find cell service on your phone.
Yeah.
And I just remember asking you, like, are you okay or whatever? You're like, oh yeah, I'm just trying to find like a service because the service was really bad.
Yeah.
And that for some reason that talking to you that night was like burned in my memory.
No, I remember that too. You and Julian were on the golf cart. And you're like, everything okay?
We were just checking on everyone.
Like, yeah, just trying to find self-service.
Okay. That's so funny.
Yeah.
So Carrie is a mom of 3.
Yes.
And 2 of them are 1-year-old twins. So I'm excited to talk to you about that because I have an almost 1-year-old and I just can't imagine there being 2 of them.
Yeah.
We have a lot in common. 3 young kids. You're a working mom.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously you've made fitness part of your lifestyle. So I think this episode will be really helpful for people in that situation, moms or dads.
Right.
So let's talk about it. So you joined street parking in 2018, April 2018.
Yes.
But you were doing CrossFit before. You were at a CrossFit gym?
Right. Yeah, I was. Being a working mom, I'm a nurse and work 7A to 7P. And it's just impossible to try to get
ER
into.
nurse.
Yeah.
Are you still an ER nurse?
I am.
Okay.
I'm not full-time anymore, though.
Okay.
Which would be insane.
It would be. Maybe someday again, but.
I'd like to,
Okay.
but with the little ones, it's kind of hard. So it was hard to get into the gym. You know, that you can't. There's no class that's before. Well, there is. Yeah, 6 o'clock.
A lot of gyms will have 6, but you had to be there at 7.
Right.
So.
And then I think the last class is at like 6 p.m. So
right.
I would never get in. And if I worked, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm beat Thursday. I don't want to go to the gym. I'm trying to run errands that I missed for the past 3 days and do whatever else.
And I've been to the ER.
Yeah.
So a couple of times. And I can't imagine, it's not just physically tired. Like that's got to be an emotional exhaustion.
Yeah. It's very draining.
And then to come home and be a mom.
Yes. A lot of those times, so my daughter was super young when I first started. And so there were times I didn't even see her like go to bed. Mm. Yeah. So it's very exhausting. And with my husband working as well, she would be up super early and then go to bed late. So it's tiring. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just like being emotionally exhausted sometimes and then going to work out is harder than just overcoming like a physical exhaustion where you're mentally, because that job, you just have to be on the whole time in a 12-hour shift day after day. Like I can't imagine that.
Yeah. So I just never was able to make it in.
Okay.
And then, at that point in time, so then that would leave me, if I worked the first part of the week and then I had the rest of the week, I'm going in on a Friday, which was usually like our hero wads. Like, I don't want the first day that I work out to be a hero wad.
This hour-long thing. Just getting wrecked.
So it just kept not going and not going. Finally, someone that I worked with suggested street parking. So
nice.
I followed you guys on the main page like a lot of people do, and did like the free workouts, and then finally like committed to.
We have a lot of nurses actually. There's a pretty big group. I think there's a Facebook group.
Yep.
Are you part of it?
I am.
How many people are in that group? Do you know?
Ooh, I don't know.
I see a lot of nurses though. I see like a lot of break room fitness happening at hospitals. And I see a lot of nurses because it's shift workers. Yeah. Street parking has been really helpful for that, whether it's in hospitals or even like flight attendants or pilots and things like that, where the schedule is just so random.
Yeah. It is. Well, I'm not going to go into a break room and do.
But that's how I know they're nurses is because I see them. Yeah.
Oh, I see it too, and I'm like, oh, good for you. I committed to I knew when I got off at 7 on the drive home, I said, I'm going to work out. So I had to put it in my brain that I was going to do it and commit.
And not make the decision when you're in your home, because that's hard.
No, I couldn't. So once I committed to it on the drive home, I knew I was changing clothes and then I was going to go into the garage and work out. And a lot of times it was just to, check a box. And then a lot of times there was, but at least that started my consistency back. And then I worked on like being stronger at that point in time.
So when you first started, you were still doing, it was 3 days a week of 7 to 7. Is that right? Would you only use street parking on those days and still go to your gym, or did you transition completely over to street parking? Because I know some people use it as like a hybrid.
No, I completely quit before I even started street parking, because at that point in time I was just donating money.
And it's a lot.
Yeah. I think even with a military discount, it's like $125 a month.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, I'm just giving you guys this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what equipment did you have when you started out?
So I did a competition before street parking. So I had some dumbbells, bar, few weights, a rack that we had that's not the greatest, but it gets the job done. Maybe a box. I can't remember if I got the box before or after street parking.
Does your husband do this type of fitness too?
He does.
Okay, cool. So you had equipment that you both had wanted in the home, because a lot of people wouldn't just have that stuff lying around.
Yeah, no. One Christmas, that's what I got, was like barbell weights, all this stuff. It's funny because he had it out in the shed, so Christmas Day he brought it in, but he dropped one of the weights on his toe, so that's what he remembers. He's like, that weight dropped on my toe. And I was like, yeah, well, but thank you. Yeah.
You paid the price.
Yeah. But yeah, it's both of us love it.
So you started right away with just, all right, I'm just going to do street parking at home. Were you working out on your work days, or were you pretty much just only working out still on the days that you did not have to work?
On my work days.
Okay.
Yeah.
As soon as you got home? As
soon as I got home. So I joined in April 2018. I did Jacked by June, whenever that started. And I think there are some requirements for workouts in there. So
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I had to in order.
I think it was probably 4 or 5 days.
Yeah. And then Julian versus Miranda was that summer.
I mean.
So, yeah. In order to get all my days in, I had to do it on days that I worked.
That's awesome.
But
I'm glad that the challenge has helped to get you into it. And that's why we try to do them throughout the years to get people just maybe that they're just new to jump into it and then force them to find consistency right away.
Yeah, but it works. I mean, especially that first year doing Julian versus Miranda. I remember
that was the very first year of Julian versus Miranda too.
My favorite. Yes. But with that, I remember the points category was like if you did 3 workouts, it was like 2 points or something like that.
That's right.
But if you did 5, it was more. I think it was like 3 to 4. So it was like there's no difference if I do 3 or 4, but I remember
if I do 5,
yeah, and I wanted to help my team, of course. So I upped it and did it. 5.
All right, cool. So you start, and your daughter was what, 3 or so at the time? It sounds like
3. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was. You know how the 3s are.
Yeah, how was that? Because I think one of the things that we see this on the Facebook group all the time, where moms are like, okay, I've signed up for street parking. I'm used to working out at a gym. I got to figure out how to do this, like having my kid in the garage or in the room while I'm working out. Did you have that, or how did you work? I know I want to hear how you work it out now that you have 3 and 2 of them are so young. But when it was just your one daughter when she was 3 and you were just figuring out how to do all of this at home, what was your strategy for that situation?
So a lot of times, so she's old enough to know to like get out of the way and not be around me. So she would have like a little tricycle she would use either in the other part of the garage or bring some sort of toy out, imitate whatever I'm doing and all of that kind of stuff. So it was a little bit easier with her being 3. Now
because she could understand.
Yeah. With the twins, I have to they have to be contained somehow because they don't know.
These are just everywhere.
Yes. But it is super cute if I do like a living room workout and it's got squats and they're over there trying to squat and everything else. I love it. Yeah.
They just mimic you. Okay, so then you'd been a member for a while and You told me that you're pretty much like I do the daily workout for the most part.
Yes.
Right now you're doing 52-week endurance. You've done some of the other ones, but for the most part, you're just a daily workout. Have you been that way the whole time, even before you had the 2 twins?
Yes.
Okay.
Always just the daily. When you guys put in St. Back Summer, I did that.
Of course. So fun.
Yeah. Dirty Work was really fun this summer.
See, I feel like me and you have like so much in common with like the types of workouts that we like. Our schedule is very similar. It's so funny.
Yeah. I would love to do extra, but
you're so busy.
Yeah.
What's your work schedule like now?
So I work PRN, so it's as needed.
Okay.
And I'm only contracted to do 2 shifts a month.
Oh, great.
Yes. I'd like to do more, just because I feel like I go in, if I do 2, there's not, and then I go back out and I forget. So I would love to do 4. Sometimes with my husband's schedule, that doesn't work out. Like he's super busy this month. So I got like my 2 in at the beginning of the month, and I don't go back until the next month in February. It's mainly weekends, or if he has a day off on like a Friday or a Monday, I'll pick up that day and work, but nothing during the week.
Okay.
So, you know, I miss out on a weekend with family, but it's okay.
Some little time away to go back and be
that
version of yourself.
A normal adult. Talk to big people, and but I take care of kids sometimes too, so there's that. But
okay, so let's talk about now you're pregnant with twins.
Yeah.
How was your were you active in during your first pregnancy?
Yes.
Okay.
I was I stopped at like 36 weeks.
Okay.
I had like a spell of where I got like super dizzy after a workout, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna take it easy for the rest.
Close enough.
But yeah, I was active during my first one, so I knew during this one it'd be fine.
Okay, so how did that go? Because twins it's a whole different beast.
Yeah, so I immediately scaled down any kind of intensity or.
How far along were you when you found out that there were 2 of them?
9 weeks.
Do you have twins in your family? Like, did you know this was a possibility?
No. If you look up factors for twins, I checked like 5 of the 7 boxes. Didn't know that beforehand.
No, because usually you're just like, oh, well, there's twins in my family, so there's a chance. I know like Molly has that. There's twins in her family. I think Molly has the twins in her family thing. And so she's always been like, ooh, I have this like possibility. And that's the only thing you ever really hear about.
Right. And that's what like everyone always asks. They're like, so whose family does it run in? And I'm like, neither.
Ours now.
Yes. Yeah. And it's crazy to think that like when my daughters grow up, they'll have to be like, yeah, my mom had twins.
Yeah.
Weird.
Okay. So how far along were you? You said you were.
I was 9 weeks.
Okay. Early.
Yeah. Early. But I feel like I found out with my first one, like I had an ultrasound at 6 weeks. Maybe not. I don't know. But I was 9 weeks when I found out with this one or these 2. And I was by myself because it was still COVID, and
you couldn't go. They weren't allowed to come anywhere with us.
So
I had a COVID pregnancy too, actually.
Yeah, it was just me.
Yes,
in there finding out by myself, shocked,
the worst,
laughing.
Okay.
It was the only thing I could do.
Okay. So you find out you're having twins, and did that change anything for you? Did they encourage you to change anything as opposed to a single?
No, they were pretty. I don't think they knew like how intense my workouts were, but no one ever said like you need to stop what you're doing.
Okay.
I wasn't working at the time. I was applying for some jobs, but I decided to just halt that altogether. And I just kept with workouts, did a lot of shift, did a lot of adjustments to stuff, and kept with things. Listened to my body. Mm-hmm. Watched you, as you know. Yeah,
because you're when are your twins' birthday?
September 22nd.
So they just turned a year in September, so they're a little bit older than Crew turns 1 in March. So they're in between Banner and Crew. Yeah.
But I mean, there's so many people in the street parking community.
So many
that are pregnant, and I watched. There was someone else that had twins. She was on the mom page, so I of course like made sure saw what she was doing, and I know like if there's other people out there that can do it, I can do it too.
Yeah. So how did it go for you? I think because you're the first person, obviously you're not the first mom that I've interviewed for these episodes, but you're the first person whose babies are so young, I think.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about like how the pregnancy was for you. And you said you would do shift and you would modify and keep moving. Was this pregnancy different at all from your first one? Because there were two of them, were there like I had really bad pubic symphysis and I shared that a lot because it's super normal. And yeah. So what kind of things did you run up against, or was it pretty chill, to be honest?
Pretty blessed with.
That's awesome.
Everything was great. I was high risk, obviously, because of age and with the babies, but I kind of got released. Not kind of got. I did get released.
Thing is so...
I know. I got released with high risk after a while.
That's good.
I didn't have any complications. I had like a little bit of back pain like towards the end, but found out it was my son, baby A, was flipping a lot.
Just like moving around a lot?
Yes. Oh, well, he would go from like head down to breech to head down.
Of course.
Yeah. And every time that happened, I was like, oh, this is it. This is it. And then I'd go into the doctor for my weekly checkup, and they're like, oh, he flipped. I was like, oh, that's what that was. But yeah, I didn't have any swelling until the day before I went in. I looked at my feet. I was like, oh, wow, those are really swollen.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you had asked something on your Instagram about, I don't know, maybe something not fitting, or I can't remember. And I had commented and said, yeah, I didn't think I had like any swelling. And then I put some rain boots on and I couldn't get them off.
I would notice when I'd get in the bath with my son or my other sons, the sock lines. I would always have like more aggressive sock lines than I was used to.
No, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't think, like, I didn't see any like big changes. It was just putting those on. I was like, oh,
I think the sweating and the fitness helps a lot with that, and just the circulation and keeping moving. Did you notice when you were pregnant? You're obviously tired when you're pregnant. You're just your body's doing so much. One of the things that I tell moms a lot of times, because they'll say that I get asked, probably the most common question that I get asked is, how did you stay motivated when you were so tired? And I found to be true that I would be more tired if I didn't work out. Like getting started was really hard because I was so tired, but I always made me feel like I had more energy for the rest of the day afterwards.
Right. Yeah, I was super tired in the beginning, which should have been one of the indicators that I was having twins, because I thought I was just being lazy. But no, I was really tired. I always kind of dreaded going outside because I was like, it's so hot. I don't want to do anything. At one point in time, I moved dumbbells and a bench inside just so I could do stuff.
It's Georgia.
Yeah. So I could do some stuff, but I always felt better afterwards.
Always.
And, like, I could get up and do some stuff.
How many days a week, like toward maybe your third trimester, were you still able to get your workouts in?
I went down to 3.
Okay.
I think Julian versus Miranda. Yeah.
But during Julian versus Miranda, I'll get it every time.
Yeah, I did. And I was a little upset we lost because I got all my points.
For those of you that don't know, if you're listening to this and you're like, what are they even talking about? If you're a new member or maybe not a street parking member, there's a challenge during the summer where it's teams against each other and you get points for your nutrition and your fitness and everything. And it's very heated. It's a very...
Yes.
Yeah.
I did 5 during that. And then I think after that is when I was like, all right, I'm just going to do 3 for the rest of the pregnancy, because at that point in time, I think I went up to 34 weeks. So, and then I had them at 38.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So that's pretty long actually for twins.
Yeah. So they consider them full term at 38 weeks. My doctor didn't want me to go past 39. So I went to 38 and 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Man. They stayed in there.
I mean, all 3 of mine did the same thing. Yeah. I think Knox was 3 days late, Banner was 10 days late, and Crew was 7 days late. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they were pretty comfortable. They ended up having to induce me, and I had a C-section just because they were both breech. So I would like to know how long they would have gone had
right?
Yeah, that not been the case, but
You always wonder. That's what my midwife would always say, because all three of them were late. They all come out eventually.
Yeah.
He will come out
at
some point.
Yeah.
One way or another, they're coming out.
They're coming. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember you saying that.
Because I mean, those days feel so long, and you just wake, because you assume it's gonna, like, you're gonna go into labor in the middle of the night, and then you wake up in the morning and you're just like, well,
still here.
Another day has passed.
Yeah. Still
pregnant.
It just feels
like you're just on this never-ending journey. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, that's super inspiring, and I think if you're not a part of that mama's page and you're pregnant or plan on becoming pregnant, jump on that page.
Yeah.
It gets emotional on there for sure, and there's a lot of hard stories and very descriptive questions and stuff like that. But I think it's a great place of people who value fitness and nutrition and want to do the best they can. And everybody's so different.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds like you had a similar experience that I did, where there was not a lot that was limiting us. And there are people who have way more factors that they have to consider, or bed rest, or things like that.
Yeah.
But there are always some habits that you can maintain during, and it's great to be in a group of people who are all shooting for that. So
I really thought with the twins that at some point in time, like, I would be put on bed rest, or
that's why I wanted to ask you about it.
Nothing. I was very fortunate. I really do think, like, having the background of, like, this health and fitness helped. Obviously being taller and having a longer torso,
more space,
yes. So I remember, like, one of my first thoughts when I found out it was twins, I'm like, I'm gonna get so big. But no, that was good.
I mean, you look amazing now.
Oh, thank you.
I'm going to ask you about postpartum too, but before that, how did you get into this lifestyle in the first place? So you were already a member of a CrossFit gym, then you street parking, and it sounds like you were very active and very conscious of being healthy while you were pregnant both times, which is a time where it's really hard for a lot of people to stay consistent. At what age, like, did you play sports growing up, or how did you get to this place where consistency seems to be easier for you than it is for other people?
So I grew up playing sports, softball. In high school, I played softball, basketball, and track.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, always busy every season, because it was that, or I was going to have to, like, get a job and work.
Okay.
I'd much rather be active, and I enjoy that. It was high school. They made us start weight training if you were a part of sports. Well, your coach did. And I remember one summer, my softball coach telling me, like, I hit the ball really good, and I got on base, and he had said, man, weight training has really increased your speed and your strength. And it was then when it, like, clicked, like, I see the benefits of this. So it became fun when you see, like, what it can do for you. And I think that was like 14 or 15. Wow. So ever since then, it's always been, weights and working out, agility and all of that kind of stuff. And then I had a friend that introduced me to CrossFit, 11 years ago.
Okay.
She was a sheriff, and, like, all of the guys at the sheriff's department told her about it. I was like, yeah, I'll try it out. Because at that point in time, I was going to, like, Gold's Gym and doing, like, a cycle class, and then, the machines afterwards and whatever else. And ever since then, just kind of been hooked.
That's awesome that you've had it your whole life. It's so funny. I didn't play a lot of sports growing up, but when I was a junior in high school, I was on the cheerleading team, which people think is funny for some reason now. But one of the girls that was on our cheer squad, she ran track, and she had a 6-pack, and I thought that was so cool. And I was like, how do you, like, what do I got to do? She's like, just run track. And I mean, she was right. So the next year I was like, all right, I'm going to run track, because she looked so awesome. Yeah. And I mean, just, like, I ended up running, like, the 400 and those and if you wanted that intensity, that'll do it too. But the same thing, like, we would bench press and back squat. I can't even imagine what we looked like when we were doing some of that stuff.
Oh yeah. No, I remember with my girlfriends, though, it was always, we were in there just hanging out, we would bench and do whatever else, but it was just time for us to socialize too. So that was fun, but we kind of reap the benefits from it as well. Yeah. So
it's just cool to introduce that so young, because then it's just normal and you're comfortable with it and everything. Okay. So let's jump then to postpartum, and we'll talk about the twins because it's the most recent one.
Mm-hmm.
How was your recovery? Because you said you had a C-section, which I don't know much about the recovery from that. Yeah. What was that like?
I waited, I think it was 2 weeks afterwards. I did like the postpartum recovery part. Drawing a blank of what it's called.
Yeah, it's the mama's bundle or whatever.
Yeah. So I did that. That was pretty easy going. I, healed well from my C-section, and I just watched whatever my limits were on it, and then started back with just slowly getting back into it. And I feel like that year afterwards, I was just going through the motions as well. And so I really have tried to like start picking up my intensity and not just going through the motions and trying to like limit myself to what I can do. So that has been my biggest thing the past several months, is trying to get back to where I was before that, just because I feel like I'm holding myself back, just like, oh, I'm a part of street parking and I can do this, but I know I can be better. So I really
like athletes coming back through.
Yeah, starting to come back. So.
But I think that's really important, because I feel like I'm at that same place now with Crew now that he's almost a year old. I surprised myself, and I maybe surprised Julian even more with the 3 pregnancies, of like how willing to tone it back I was. And with each one, I've just gained the confidence of like, it'll come, you'll get there again, and you don't need to rush it. And I think so many people feel this need to, and we see it. I mean, we see it in our community and just in social media in general, people just trying to get past that part, and get back to who they were. And whether it's not even just to look a certain way, but there's when you grow up the way that you did and you love fitness the way that we do, you want to feel that part of yourself again, and so you just want to rush back to that. But I've gotten more and more comfortable with the pregnancies of it'll be there, it'll come back, and I can feel it coming back now when he's almost a year old. But I feel like people rush to that too soon.
Oh, well, I mean, social media, you see it all the time with like celebrities and stuff, and they like bounce back and do all this other stuff. And I think if you can just ignore that and just take it at your own pace, and then you'll eventually get there, which is what I had to, tell myself. But I knew just me going back into working out afterwards was an accomplishment in itself, because, a lot of people don't do that at all, or aren't able to.
Especially with like taking care of twins.
Yeah. It's tiring.
So that's one of the things too. Whenever I have a friend or I know somebody who's pregnant for the first time, and they talk about pregnancy and how hard it is and how tired they are and everything, I never want to be that person, because it's so annoying to be like, it's going to be a lot harder when they come out. Like right now your body, it's hard, but it's harder when they come out, because when you're pregnant for the first time, you think like, as soon as I can get them out, then I can be on my journey back to normal. And it's like, no, that's gone forever, or at least until they're older. And it's the sleeping and the like breastfeeding, and your whole like torso just feels like it doesn't work, and all of that. With twins, how has that been for you? Because I, like we were talking before we started recording about the sleeping, and
it's a whole nother journey in itself. One of the reasons why I don't work out in the morning is a lot of times I'll nap when they nap in the morning, because no one's consistently sleeping through the night, except for my husband.
The dog.
He's the only
your daughter,
one.
Your older daughter.
Her too, but sometimes she comes down in the middle of the night as well. So I'm not getting great sleep, except for here I've gotten some good sleep.
I bet.
Yes. But so I'm super tired, not getting great sleep, which makes you cranky, and not able to focus. What else was your question?
See, that's what we're both just sleep deprived. No, so I just wanted to know like what that experience has been like for you, because it's very real. The sleep makes it, or lack of sleep, and the breastfeeding actually, the just exhaustion, and the like you're saying, like the cloudiness, and quite honestly, like all over the place emotions with like your hormones resetting and you're exhausted and not getting enough sleep and your body's like doing so much work to create, like it's a real thing. So
it is. Well, and there's a limited time too. So I know like when I work out, like I need to feed them before so that they're satisfied. There's been times where I've had to stop in the middle of a workout to breastfeed one of them. I'm sure you're used to that. And then I got to make sure that I get done in enough time to where, you know, I don't have to feed someone else, or, you know, even when I feel uncomfortable with my body, like engorgement or anything like that. So you have to time it all perfectly. And
with two, it's like, oh man.
Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't always work the way you plan.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I think where I was trying to go with it is we see a lot, again, in our community and out of it, where it's like, well, I don't even know if I'm going to have 20 minutes to do the workout because I might get interrupted. So what's the point? Yep. And who cares if you do 2 rounds of the workout, feed them, go back and do the other 2 rounds. It's not perfect. It's not ideal. And maybe you're not going to, you know, have it play out exactly the way that you wanted, but it is still enough. Like you still should try to do that.
Right.
There's still benefit from that.
Yeah.
And to go into it, not allowing yourself to get frustrated in those situations, just knowing sometimes that's going to happen. Yeah. And it's okay. And just let it be what it is. And eventually, you know, one of the things I've learned now that I have 3 is that stage will end. Yeah. And now all of a sudden you're sad that it's ending when you've been complaining about it the whole time, you know, and it's hard to keep that perspective during it, but it is short. It will go by shorter than you think.
Yeah. Well, with my oldest, it's definitely gone. I mean, I can easily, she'll either come out into the garage with me and she'll play and do whatever else she needs to, or she'll, you know, be inside doing what she needs to or watching the twins so I can get a workout in. But I mean, that stage is gone. I don't have that anymore of where like I have to make sure she's settled and okay. Because a lot of times I can say, hey, I'm going out to the garage real quick to do a workout. She's like, okay, Mom. So it's easy. But now it's with the twins, it's definitely having to figure out what works best for me and for them as well. So a lot of times it's like putting them in the stroller and they're just watching me. It's pushing a stroller on a run, which is not always fun. But sometimes I use that as a crutch a little bit.
Like, yeah. Sometimes we're like, oh, I should probably carry him on this 200 because he's being fussy, and then just walk. You know? You're like, oh, thank goodness.
Yeah. So
there's definitely workouts where you're like, start whining now so I can take a break.
Right. I did a run a couple weeks ago, and my husband was off for that day, and I was like, well, I'll just take one with me on the run. So I pushed him. I could have left him, but I knew my run would be a little bit easier pushing him just because I could like slow down the pace. I'm not a big running fan.
No, me neither.
But you gotta do hard things.
Yeah, and I think you know, I even fall into this trap of feeling like, oh, I should really start working out in the morning, and I should this XYZ, whatever your should is. Yeah. And like you, it's not realistic for me because the nights are still very random. And so I might have a week or 2 weeks where I could wake up early and that I would get enough sleep. Yeah. But then teething would happen or he would get sick or something. And I would have to, if I was doing that, I just wouldn't be getting enough sleep. So, but again, knowing that those times are going to pass and not looking at this other person over here who looks like they have this like perfect setup and perfect schedule and everything goes well for them. That might be true for them, or they might only be showing the good days. Yeah. You don't know. Right. And so just figuring out what works for you, I think, and being okay with that and knowing that it's everything is just a season. And
well, and I mean, I see it with Molly, like she's pretty transparent, I feel like, and says, you know, well, you know, Indy didn't sleep, so I had to do it, you know, with her out there or during her nap time. And I mean, you guys are just so great at like showing what you guys do. So I'm like, oh, I can do that as well. Right. Yeah. Our
community is really good about that. So again, if you're not on the pages, because I know not every member participates in the crazy Facebook group, but at least just to see some of that stuff, I think can be really helpful, because what you'll see in just general social media land is the mom who's had professional makeup and hair done that morning, and their kids are like quietly sitting in the background or doing burpees with them every single time. And it's sometimes our kids will work out with us, but more often than not, they're, we're trying not to get them to run out into the street in the middle of the workout,
I'm always worried about like doing a kettlebell swing and like
the kettlebell swings are the scariest.
Whacking.
For sure.
Yeah. So
yeah,
it's always that. But, I just try to keep them distracted with some toys, and they figure out somehow to get out of the pin that I'll put up. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
And you mentioned in your email too, I think it's important to even moms need permission for everything, right? So you'll turn on the TV for them, or you'll give them an iPad every once in a while or whatever. And we do that too. Yeah. With Knox and Banner, we'll be like, okay, we're going to turn on whatever movie that they're into at the time. Yeah. Just stay in here. We'll leave the door open so we can hear them. Yeah. And for 20 minutes, if that's what is going to allow us to get it done really, really quickly. I think, moms are so hard on themselves. Well, I shouldn't give them screen time, and they should just be able to sit here and work out with me or watch me. And sometimes that might be true. And some other times sometimes you need to be away from them for 20 minutes just to do it on your own. Yes. And I think moms need that permission, or parents in general.
Well, they do. My daughter is great. The oldest is great about like watching them for like 20 minutes. But she has come outside with like, Caroline is crying. And so I have to grab her and sometimes throw her in the stroller or do something to just appease her for a little bit. I think I was on the assault bike a couple weeks ago and I was holding her, which she liked the movement and the wind and all of that. Obviously, my time for that wasn't going to matter, but I got it done.
You know what, too, a piece of advice I would give to parents who want to make it easier on themselves, what we have found now that there's 3 of them is the more often they're in there, the harder it is at first, but the more used to it they get. Mm-hmm. So if you're only bringing them out into the garage randomly, then of course they don't have their flow in there. It's new for them and it's different for them, and what they're used to whenever you're with them, that you're paying attention to them. For us, the more they're out there, the more likely they are to leave us alone and find their own stuff to do. But you just have to get through that like phase of them not getting it, which is tough.
Yeah. I love them seeing, like, leading by example. So they see what I do. My oldest sees what I'm doing. She's always like, you going to do your exercise?
We got to get her a coloring sheet so she can earn her hoodie.
I will.
Because Knox just got his hoodie and he wears that thing everywhere. And he tells everybody, I did 75 workouts and everything. It's so cute.
I need to. She does have just a regular shirt, and I love her wearing that. She likes wearing it. She calls us the key people. She's older now to know, like, it's street parking, but it was always like, you're key people. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. So now you're feeling good?
Yeah. there's some stuff.
How did your workout go yesterday? We won't give away what it is because this comes out before the workout does.
Yeah. It was pretty tough.
You got to work out with Julian.
Yeah. You all are very inspiring, but he's like great about, I don't know, you work out next to him, you like level up a little bit.
He's a pusher.
Yes. But in a good way.
Not in a mean way or in a like bully way. Yeah. But he gets people to bring out their best in them.
I can see that. He's like, no, you can do that. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I can.
Okay. I believe you.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
And then you're very far into it and you're like, man.
Well, it's too late now. Now I'm in. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. So you feel good. Again, I think you and I are very similar to the like, hey, I do one workout 5 days a week. I'm pretty much, you told me you go 3 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 1 day off. Pretty typical. Same exact schedule. Yeah. Do you still work out because you're not working as much? Do you still work out in the evening, or what's your?
Yeah, I still do the evening. I'm a evening person.
It's just easiest.
I would like to be a morning person, but the only time I do morning is if someone else asks, like, hey, can we work out at this time? Sure.
Right. Or if I'm like, I have plans for the rest of the day. I know that's the only option I'm going to have.
Yeah, the thing that stinks about the evening is if we have a random, like, hey, we're going to go over to a friend's house for dinner or something like that. Like, dang. But I've been known to, like, go back home and work out after that. My husband's always like, you're going to work out now? Like, the day is done. I'm like, no, it's not.
It's just part of it. It's just part of your day.
But he's completely opposite. He works out 6 a.m., so.
That probably works good where you're not trying to do it at the same time. Yeah. Where it's like, as much as, I don't know about you, but I really enjoy working out with Julian. Yeah. And eventually we'll get back to where we're working out together. But right now, usually we go home and we both work out in the evening, but like he'll go and I'll hold crew because the boys are still gone. His mom takes him to like their taekwondo and jujitsu classes and stuff. Yeah. And then he'll hold crew while I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, he's military, so he works out 6 a.m. Monday through Friday. So the only time we could work out together would be the weekend. And depending on how his week has been, like those are his 2 rest days.
Yeah.
If he's been off, we'll do something together. And I just know I have to find like a.
Do you guys get competitive with each other at all?
I know I'm not going to win that one.
You'll get there. You'll get back there.
Yeah.
You gotta sneak up on him.
Yeah.
Just train for it and don't say anything. And then be like, hey, you should do this workout with me, and just crush him. And he'll be like, what has been happening in this garage?
There's been times where he's like, you didn't do all the reps.
And oh my gosh. Yeah. He's accusing you of cheating?
Yes, because I've been like closely behind him. Like, I guess he thinks like if he hasn't lapped me enough.
You know what's funny is what motivates me when Julian and I do work out, because his people here that he competes against are Salvi.
Yeah. I
mean, competes is loose because he always wins. But Salvi, Kaylee, who's really fit, especially when it comes to like barbell cycling, when Molly's here, obviously. Yeah. And he doesn't ever talk to me that way. And sometimes I'm like, would you think that I can't keep up with you?
Yeah.
And so there'll be some times where we'll be working out and he's just like, you really pushed me on that one. And he's like, I did not want to go that hard today. Yeah. And you made me, and that'll like motivate me to like make him uncomfortable to prove a point.
Well, if we ever do any kind of workout that's got running in it, I'm done. He's a runner. So he can smoke me all day long on that. And I'm okay with that. I will push a little bit, but he's going to beat me 9 times out of 10.
Right.
And that one time is probably pure luck.
He's having an off day.
Yeah, because if we run together, he doesn't break a sweat. Yeah.
So you're still evening, pretty much 5 days a week, pretty much the daily workout. You said you're doing 52-week endurance right now, and you wanted to do you said you wanted to do one of the lifting programs, I think, starting strength or something after you finish. What week are you on in 52 weeks?
46.
Oh, you're close.
Yes.
Nice.
I'm seeing the light. And then I think my friend said, like, well, maybe we can, because I have an accountability buddy. So that
you met through the group?
Yeah.
Oh,
at
nice.
camp.
Oh.
Yeah. So cool. We've been like good friends.
What team were you on at camp?
The Champs.
Oh, you're on all the good teams.
Yeah. Renegade Row.
Renegade Row.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, forever.
Maybe we still talk to that place. By the way, It is not out of the question that we would go do it again.
I'm ready.
We have to have like a 5-year reunion, which would be 2024 would be 5 years. Oh. Isn't that crazy?
It seems like it was not yesterday, but like 2 years ago.
I know.
Yeah.
It's nuts. So maybe we'll go back for 5 years.
I'm down for it.
Now that I've said it on the podcast, everyone's going to start talking about it on Facebook.
Trying to make reservations.
Oh, right. Of course. Where do we sign up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was on Renegade Row. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Oh, we were talking about how you wanted to do the your accountability buddy, and you guys wanted to do the starting strength.
Yeah. So we said after 52 weeks we were gonna maybe start over, and then she had mentioned starting strength, which I'm fine with.
Your 52 week, you said you don't like running. Are you doing it with running, or you do it with the bike or the rower?
Bike or run.
Okay.
I did bike my entire pregnancy, but I would do like the timed.
That's a good call.
Yeah. So I got tired of bike eventually.
And you're just like, I just want to go.
Yeah. I'll run, which my runs have been better. Still not loving it.
But at least if you can get more comfortable with it, that's good.
Yeah. So I go between those two, depending on like what time I'm working out. If I'm working out at night, it's usually like up and down my street. And if I don't want to do that, I hop on the bike.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Well, I just think that you're inspirational to moms out there. I can't imagine having twins, especially 1-year-old twins, because I just have the one and it's a lot. But you're so positive and you're so consistent, and I think just if people can gain anything from you and the other moms in the street parking community is there are struggles and there are seasons and there are times that you go through. But if you can just, like you're saying, like for a year, I pretty much was checking the box. Yeah. And then eventually it will come back. Like that's okay. And that's to be expected, and just hang in there, you know?
Yeah. I mean, there were times where like, I'm going to really amp it up and like increase intensity, and then, something throws you off.
Someone gets sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's sick babies. There's a sick, I'm sick,
right.
My husband's sick, someone else, it doesn't work. But I feel like as long as you can stay consistent, like it'll come back. And it can be frustrating sometimes, but for the most part, I feel like I'm at a good place now where I can really start working on those, I feel like I'm a strong person, but I'd like to get stronger and get back to like where I was, which is why I'm excited about starting strength to see like, where I'm at compared to the past.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, and it's your birthday today.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
You got a couple of hotel night sleeps.
Oh yeah.
For your birthday weekend, which is awesome.
Oh man. A prize in itself.
Yeah.
I mean, I miss my kids, but man, that sleep has been great.
I've thought about just going to a hotel a couple miles from my house, and just being like, I'll be back tomorrow
as a Christmas present.
Yeah. I've done it for Mother's Day before, not
Yeah.
not with crew, but I think after Banner, I did it.
Yeah, my husband thinks it's wild, but I'm like,
you don't
understand.
Just
don't know. Yeah.
Where there's like, I could sleep till 11 a.m. Who knows,
Right.
So.
Well, and I would love to, I'm always like, I would like to sleep. I want to be in a bathrobe and just order room service.
Room service is, sounds amazing. Julian and I, the last vacation that we went on was in 2019 without any kids. So, I mean, it's almost 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And I slept so much on that trip. It was before Banner. So we only had one kid at the time. I slept so much on that trip and just wanted room service and just laziness.
Right.
And it was awesome.
So my sister's here with me. I noticed at one point this morning.
Oh, I don't even think I've met her.
She'll be here for lunch.
Okay.
Yeah. She put her AirPods in because I guess was really in a deep sleep and snoring. And I told her this morning, I was like, I'm sorry. She's like, I mean, you can't help it. You're getting some good sleep. So.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait for people to see your workout with Julian, and I can't wait to hear how, starting strength and everything's going for you. And hopefully we'll see you again, maybe at summer camp next year.
Maybe. Well, I'll do a couple of the street parking. Like
which ones are you going to go to?
Definitely Jack's again, because it's like 2 hours from us. And then we'll see if there's another one. I'd love to do Fitness Freedom. I don't know if that's
the West Virginia one, which is not super far from you.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to Fitness Freedom, is also going to be really awesome.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I got to look at it and see. I definitely am doing one. I'd love to do two. So.
Okay.
We'll see.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. No. You're awesome.